Good morning, all. I'd like to call the meeting of the Platinum Parish Council Audit Committee for June 8, 2017 to order at 9:30. Secretary, call the roll.
Councilmember Juneau?
Here.
Councilmember Roussel?
Here.
And Councilmember Trufant-Salvant is absent.
Yes, we hope that Ms. Salvant gets well. We know she's under the weather and not unable to make the meetings today, so hopefully she'll feel better later. At this time, we'll ask Mr. Travis to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Good morning. We'll move to item number 2.
Update by Travis Fontenot, Assistant Internal Auditor, on the scheduled audit for June 2017 and the prioritization of the 2017 audit plan.
Okay. I'm kind of getting somewhere in now, Councilman Roussel. So the external auditors came in, and I'm working with them presently right now. With Tyler, I worked with him on the expenditure testing, and right now, next week, they say they're coming in. So next week, I'm going to kind of work with them on the capital assets. They want to do a visual inspection of the capital assets of all the property we have. So I'll probably be doing a little running next week. Amanda Myers has me working on the 2006 accounts payable testing. So I'm kind of going with that. I have the spreadsheet. 2016, yeah. They're going through, I'm just trying to make sure that everything in 16 is in 16 and everything in 17 is in 17. So I've kind of communicated with Tommy because I need to prioritize these, I need to kind of get on the ball with our audits, you know. So what I'm going to do is once I finish with the external auditors, I'm going to kind of get with Tommy and get with the external auditors and see what I need to do in order to make our process flow a little bit, you know, faster.
Okay. As you know, or you may not know, the external auditors are in the finance department now auditing our annual required audit, and Mr. Travis is working with them, trying to provide them with information. So we're now integrated into that process, providing information to the external auditors to make that process move a little quicker, I guess, and actually to provide documents that they're requiring. So our audits, which are internal audits, are kind of on a slower pace because of this. Not to mention the fact that we don't have an internal auditor, which we will discuss on the agenda in a little bit. The other item that I think it's important to note is that we have a testing mechanism that Mr. Fontenot does for travel and reimbursement expenditures. We have reached out to the port to include their travel and reimbursement expenditures in the process because we believe they are subject to the regulations of the charter as well. We did have some discussion with them, and I think we have come to an agreement to where now we are going to be able to review those travel and reimbursement expenditures just as we do the government's reimbursement expenditures. There is an item that needs to be introduced. I had introduced one for the council agenda, or I had prepared to do one on the council agenda, but we feel that it's better handled through a port meeting, and it will be introduced at the next port meeting so that the port will, when we adopt that ordinance, will recognize the section of the charter that the internal auditor is applicable to the port. So I think we're making some progress in that area, and we will add that to the work list.
You say this, Councilman Roussel. Shannon Brown sent me she sent me the internal audit procedures today. So it's obviously, like you say, they look like they're going to comply with it. But she sent me a copy, and if you want it, I can give it to you. But she sent me a copy of the procedures for the internal audit process.
Yes, we had this discussion came up at the port meeting a couple of nights ago, and the question that we need to resolve is that the port updates their travel and reimbursement policies based on state guidelines, and the council is not on the same exact page, and what it has to do is reimbursement allotments. For instance, if a hotel room is $140 and the new rate is $160, you know, there's a difference in there. And I made some comments at the port meeting that was unofficial port meeting because they didn't have a quorum. But at that discussion, that we can work that out, and if it comes to the table as the port committee, as the audit committee, we can maybe make a recommendation to the full council to update our travel and reimbursement policy to the state policy as well, which would be a little more accurate, and we would all be on the same travel and reimbursement policy and do that on an annual basis. And that'll be a thing on the agenda for the audit committee to make a recommendation. Once we get what she sent you, would you forward it to all the members, and we will do it. And so, as far as the audit plan, I'm hoping that we can, we'll get back on track after we get through with the external audit, and in the meantime, we'll make some progress. Are there any other items of discussion at this time on item number 2?
No.
Any members, public? None? Okay, we'll move to item number 3.
Discussion of internal audit position.
Yes, I placed this on the agenda just to make it a public announcement that the announcement for the Chief Internal Auditor is being advertised. It is on the agenda for adoption to lift the hiring freeze, and that'll be on the agenda for later today for consideration by the council members, and hopefully we'll be able to get that adopted. Once we get that adopted, then we'll be cleared to hire an internal auditor once the advertisement process is complete. The Civil Service has gone ahead and advanced the advertisement with the anticipation of us passing that hiring freeze exemption. That way we will be a little bit ahead of the game and not waiting in the process. So the deadline for applications for the internal audit is June the 12th, 2017. The posting date was May the 30th of 2017, and the announcement number was 17-019. So that is being advertised as we speak. We encourage all of those individuals who meet the qualifications to submit applications, and hopefully we'll be able to fill the position and give you some help to be able to move forward on the plan that we have in place at the time. Are there any comments or discussion on that item? Public? None? Okay, well, thank you. We'll move to item number 4.
Discussion of office space for the internal audit department.
At a meeting, a couple of meetings ago, a resolution was adopted, or I don't know if it was a resolution or an ordinance, but we adopted an ordinance to provide office space over in the finance department building to the auditor and internal auditor. That process, I think, is on. I've asked the secretary to get to a certain point. We're on hold right now to make sure that the location that we're anticipating on moving to is adequate. And I would encourage the audit committee members to look at that space before we implement the move, to see if that's what we want to do. And if we decide to go there, the legislation's in place. If we decide to go somewhere else into a bigger space, which was my concern when I looked at the space, that we will come back to the council and ask for a reconsideration or a new location if that's the case. If not, we will maintain what has already been adopted and move forward with that. So, and I encourage the members of the audit committee to at least look at the space that's been adopted at the last meeting that space was assigned. Any comments or discussion or questions on that? Public? Hearing none? Okay, well, moving right along, we'll move to item number 5.
Approval of the minutes of the May 11th, 2017 meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. Are there any comments or discussion on the minutes that are being considered for adoption from the May 11, 2017 meeting? Hearing none? Secretary, call the roll.
Councilmember Juneau?
Yes.
Councilmember Russo?
Yes. And the minutes are adopted by 2-0 vote. No suspension of the rules, no other business to come before the audit committee. Today I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second it.
Councilmember Juneau?
Yes.
Councilmember Russo?
Yes. And with that, the meeting is adjourned at 9:40.